Chris, Socialist Worker, let's talk with you about European Union. What's your position? I think you are supporting an exit from the left.
Yeah, we support what's been called the Lexit. That is we would like to leave the European Union, but this is on a completely opposite basis to the far-right Ukip and obviously the right in the Conservative Party. We think the EU is actually a pro-business body that doesn't actually defend refugees. We see on a protest right now because refugees have drowned in the sea. So we think the European Union actually isn't what a lot of people think it is, and we should leave.
What about the workers' rights? Is the EU defending?
I think Francis O'Grady from the TUC said the EU protects workers' rights, but I don't think that's the case actually. If you look at a lot of what's in the EU, there's laws against nationalisation, for instance, in terms of competition. Obviously, certainly a lot of Corbyn's own views would be challenged by the EU. We've also seen what's happened with Syriza when they tried to challenge austerity. I think the other thing is obviously the UK opts out of a lot of the better laws. So it's no real protection. I think the only protection for workers' rights is workers' struggle.
Andriana, you are not of the Ukip, you are not a Tory, you belong to the British left, but you don't like European Union as it is now. Why?
Well, I guess you can start with the concept of Fortress Europe, and even within that there is what I guess call superpowers. So an analogy that I've heard about how Europe functions is that there's the financial, there's the economic superpowers like Germany, Austria, whichever Scandinavian countries are in the EU, Britain, and it's a very corporate basis for the EU. It's a bankers club, and as a result you have these huge superpower countries who use the EU as a means to exploit, as a means to expand based on their own corporate needs. And as a result, there's the wall, I guess the imaginary wall that's built around Europe, which makes it Fortress Europe, which means that unless you fit in with a certain corporate standard, you can't come in, you can't live your life here. That's why we have this horrible scenario of refugees not being able to come into the EU just purely because it doesn't make sense in the corporate world.
About the migration?
Well, I don't like the fact that, and I think everyone in the SWP doesn't like the fact that there is a specific difference between migration between EU members and non-EU members. Because yes, there's freedom of movement within the EU, but there isn't freedom of movement for those outside of the EU into the EU, and it's not socialist at all. It's not how things should be. It doesn't allow people to have a life. It doesn't allow people into this bubble of security if they're outside of it.